So this is one of those stories that makes you really shake your head. It's kind of like the stories that I brought to you last month about the government or law enforcement burying people that were missing and not telling the family that they were found, and not even closing their missing persons case, just burying them. Um, and it happened three times in Jackson, Mississippi. Um, but this one is a little different here. Man discovers he's been dead for months from an overdose. 23-year-old Portland resident Tyler Chase reappeared at a government office in late December, um, only to learn that he had died from an overdose 3 months prior and had already been cremated. What happened was he received a notice in the mail telling him that his food stamps had been canceled or terminated. So when he went into the office to tell them that he wasn't dead, that's when they realized they had made a mistake. It is a lot actually more intrusive and different than that, though, because his parents received an urn in the mail with his believed to be ashes in them. And the reason for this is because Chase had been living in a recovery home for several months after battling addiction issues and surviving on the streets. He hadn't been in contact with his family for years. It wasn't until his food stamps became inactive that this is being told from him. I go to DHS, the Department of Human Services, and they asked me to enter my social security and everything. And they were like, all right, we'll see if we can help you fix this. The confused man told Fox 12. And then all of a sudden they started interrogating me and were like, oh, can we see your ID? So I gave it to them and they just looked as confused as I was. And they're like, right here, it says you are dead. It turns out that his family not only received a formal death certificate, but also an urn full of burnt human remains, and were told these were his ashes. On December 19th, Chase told Fox the county medical examiner's office found him at his recovery home and admitted they had wrongfully declared him dead. So now we get into the interesting part. It was then he learned that officials found a man in Portland who had died from a drug overdose back in September. His only form of identification on him was a temporary Oregon driver's license and a wallet, presumably stolen from Chase. The temporary license had no picture. So they find a paper ID of me that's smudged and everything, and they were like, that's Tyler John Chase. So they put him down as me, the resurrected man said, and then they notified the family like protocol. His family was notified on September 11th, and the body was cremated on October 1st. The local examiner would not say anything regarding the identity of the man who was actually cremating. However, a spokesperson told Fox 12, we deeply regret that the misidentification happened. The misidentification occurred because the deceased person was carrying Mr. Tyler Chase's wallet and his official temporary Oregon driver's license. The medical examiner said the error has led them to make a change in policy. The medical examiner's office also launched a comprehensive review to identify any gaps in current practices and is working to implement an institutional change. Going forward, all individuals who are found with temporary state issue identification must also have fingerprints submitted for positive identification to ensure this will never happen again. And that's a great step to make, but I'm wondering how many other times this has happened, not just in Oregon, but across the country. Meanwhile, NBC affiliate KGW spoke with Chase's cousin, Letitia Rosales, who said she just lost it upon learning he was still alive. It is so hard to believe how something like this could happen. It just makes no sense to me. The medical examiner told KGW misidentification is extremely rare but has been reported in a small number of cases nationwide. Although television often shows people identifying their loved ones at a medical examiner's office. In reality, most medical examiner offices do not have viewing facilities, the medical examiner said. Families are able to view their loved one and confirm their identity at a funeral home, making the arrangements. So, what do you guys think? You think this happens more often than not? And what should be done about this situation? Um, the person who was cremated, thinking that it was this man, what if his family didn't want him cremated and wanted him to have a different type of burial? Could this lead to lawsuits? I don't know. What do you think?